Greetings to the anointed. They tried to break you, chosen one, and some of them, like Elon Musk in this season of symbolism, showed you cruelty that was meant to crush your spirit for good. They mistook your humility for weakness, your silence for defeat. But what they never understood is that time was never your enemy. It was your armor. Every second they thought was wasting you was actually refining you, sharpening you, hiding you until the appointed moment. That's why people stare at you now, almost confused, as if you've cracked the very code of existence. You don't move like others. You don't age like others. And you don't carry the heavy, defeated energy the world tried to stamp on you. Instead, you glow with an untouchable light, as if you carry ancient secrets in your veins. It's not just genetics or luck. It's divine architecture. You survived what should have destroyed you. Your very cells remember every betrayal, every lonely night, every unseen battle, and yet, here you stand, radiating strength and beauty that defies logic. While others complain about midlife crises and broken dreams, you're out here moving like you drank from the hidden well of resilience itself. They were cruel, yes, but heaven was kinder. And that kindness has crowned you, not crushed you. Plot twist: it's known as enhancements for Holy Ghost, healing, and hydration. Let's get started, because we're going to explain in this video why your appearance and age are making people silent, and how your very presence is beginning to reveal everything they believe to be true about time, beauty, and divine preservation. This isn't surface level, so buckle up. You are going to discover that your mirror is revealing the truth about who you really are, not merely defying time. First of all, you used spiritual alignment to counteract bodily deterioration. Most individuals concentrate on the exterior in an attempt to seem younger. Gym regimens, surgery, creams, and filters. They think that youth is something that can be injected or painted on. Chosen ones, however, function differently. Your youth comes from what you let pass through your body, not from what you put on it. You concentrated on alignment when the rest of the world was preoccupied with appearances. Additionally, that spiritual harmony completely rebalanced your system. Your skin, cells, and energy are vibrating at a greater frequency than just living. People are perplexed as a result. The numbers don't add up, even if they're attempting to figure it out in their minds after seeing your face. Although the person they are observing is chronologically older, they have the appearance of someone who is just starting their prime. They don't understand it since it's spiritual rather than rational. The evidence is all over your body, and you've tapped into something that most people don't even think exists. You seem undamaged by the normal rigors of life, in addition to being attractive for your age. It's not that you haven't experienced hell. Rather, it's that you left it. You recovered. You relax. Rather of hiding your darkness, you confronted it. Your body received messages from that inside work that said, "We're safe now." And instead of decaying, your body reacted by renewing. In reality, what they're seeing is the outcome of a soul's decision to align rather than comply. It's a rare radiance because so few people ever really achieve it. Not because it's unattainable. Most individuals exhaust themselves in their quest for approval. You become a conduit for calm, truth, and divine timing by turning inside. You don't age as others do because of this. You're growing older according to a heavenly chronology that increases purpose rather than subtracts years, not a worldly one. And that kind of beauty develops over time rather than fading, aging, or wrinkling. Second, you have perfected the art of emotional alchemy. You don't wear trauma on your face because of this. Whether they are aware of it or not, the majority of individuals display their anguish on their faces. The way they walk, the way their eyes avoid eye contact, and the way their skin tightens from years of suppressing anger, disappointment, and betrayal are all signs of it. Trauma embeds itself in the body rather than merely the intellect. However, you, the selected one, prevented it from occurring. You endured the type of suffering that ought to have left you with lasting scars. You were deceived, coerced, left behind, and in some situations, utterly annihilated. However, you changed that suffering rather than storing it. It was alchemized by you. You don't wear it because of this. You choose to deal with your feelings rather than suppress them. While others remained resentful, you had to confront them. When no one was looking, you sobbed. You silently yelled. You prayed from the bottom of your heart. You were rescued by your emotional honesty, which is uncommon. You softened rather than hardened, yet with strength rather than weakness. You opened yourself to yourself, and your nervous system is reset by that genuineness. Your complexion, face, and presence are not just lovely, they are serene. That is what is confusing, folks. People are used to seeing bitterness mingled with aging, but they see clarity when they look at you. They perceive tranquility. They've never seen someone your age so emotionally light, so they're not sure how to handle it. They anticipate harm. They anticipate stress lines. But the inner effort was done by you. What you let go of, not what you clung to, is what gave you that warmth. You could have become icy. You had the option to exclude everyone. However, you choose to keep your heart open and not let abuse. That decision changed your biology in addition to saving your spirit. You don't appear like what you've gone through because of this. You transformed suffering into knowledge. And now, just your presence says a lot. Trauma did not cause you to age. Rather, you overcame it. Third, when you ceased performing for the Matrix, time halted. Because they're always performing for institutions that weren't designed with their peace in mind, most individuals age quickly. They strive to impress, fit in, and thrive by waking up every day striving to meet society's expectations. However, you, the selected one, took a decision that most people would never dare to take. You stopped acting. You disconnected the Matrix. You gave up trying to win over a society that is fixated on noise and appearance. Something amazing occurred when you accomplished that. Time stopped aging you in the same manner. Your energy stopped leaking when you stopped acting like the person they wanted you to be. You began to regain the energy that had previously kept you in survival mode. Fake connections, meaningless rivalry, and continual comparison had sapped you. The tranquility you so valiantly defended started healing your body as much as your mind. You were choosing sincerity, clarity, and isolation when others were exhausting themselves to get acceptance. And the aging process was really slowed down by that decision. You were free from the soul-depleting cycles of social climbing, overachieving, and trend chasing. You chose alignment above performance and let go of the conventional definition of success. Your face seems relaxed as a result. Your skin seems serene. There's nothing frenetic about your presence. People don't know why, yet you feel unaffected by the tension that others take for granted. They are unaware that the cost of that tranquility was loneliness, rejection, and having to start again. However, the outcome of that sacrifice is now becoming apparent. Because you don't have what others have, you're not aging the same way they are. The cycle isn't confined to you. You don't share a clock. You've taken back your identity, your time, and your energy, and you're covered with it. By just being, you were able to access something heavenly when others were exhausted from performance. And for that reason, people are taken aback when they see you. You didn't follow their guidelines, and you don't seem to have done so. Fourth, age is your ascension gateway, not your demise as they believed. They thought your radiance would eventually wane. They anticipated that. Like everyone else who peaks early and fades, your significance would quietly dry away. Your body would betray you, and your confidence would wane. For the majority of individuals, society crafts this script. You are brilliant in your 20s, begin to fade by your 30s, and fade into obscurity by your 40s and beyond. But that story was totally upended by you, chosen one. You became more dangerous as you grew older. Not because you put forth more effort, but rather because you gave up completely. You stopped looking for approval. You stopped making yourself smaller to blend in. And that freedom inside began to radiate. You shifted your stance. The honesty in your voice became deeper. The weight of your presence increased, yet in a manner that demands respect without asking for it. You developed into who you are now. You ceased expressing regret. With each passing year, you succeeded rather than failing. They failed to understand that youth was just a blueprint and never your ultimate shape. You were designed to unfurl rather than to vanish. As people observe, you enter what they first believed to be your decline. They come to the realization that they are witnessing the main event. It wasn't praise or merchandise that gave off that warmth, that elegance, that confidence. It comes from recognizing your value without anybody having to co-sign it, from mending, and from surviving. They don't comprehend how someone who has endured so much can yet seem so strong, so grounded, and so captivating. The problem is that you soared rather than aged. You accessed depths of vitality, beauty, and knowledge that are not available to young people. Only after the fire, rejection, and rebirth do they show up. It was intended for you to become, rather than just age. Furthermore, you look magnificent now that you've arrived, not simply nice. Fifth, you rejuvenated, rather than just preserved yourself. The majority of people believe that the best course of action is to slow down the aging process, maybe preserve what you have, and hope for the best. However, you, the selected one, did more than just wait. You undid the harm. You rebuilt yourself from the ground up, rather than preserving yourself as a frozen image of your former self. That is the aspect that is confusing folks. They anticipated deterioration. They anticipated that you would emerge from those storms, looking worn out and drained. Instead, you seem to have been enhanced, as if time had paid you interest. The fact that they will never comprehend is that it has nothing to do with skincare. It wasn't the gym. The genes weren't excellent. It was the isolation. You wondered if God had forgotten about you during those protracted, quiet times when you were isolated from everyone and everything. You were buried in silence, while others were fleeing it. It almost broke you too. However, it polished you instead. It brought to life previously dormant aspects of your spirit. Through spiritual alignment, you sparked profound cellular regeneration in addition to emotional healing. People are broken by stress. Their aura is weakened by self-abandonment. However, you decided to follow the road of seclusion, and rather than allowing it to make you resentful, you allowed it to make you holy. You discovered your strength by looking inside. You deconstructed every false identity you were made to wear, redefined your value, and reunited with your source. It wasn't a gorgeous procedure. It was silent and lonely, but it was holy. Your body sensed it too. You were not only physically different, but also intellectually stronger when you returned from that period of seclusion. Not only do you look fine, but you seem unaffected by the mayhem you managed to escape. Regeneration is a metamorphosis into the person you were always destined to be, not a return to your former self. You were being reshaped in silence while others broke under the strain. Now, your existence is self-evident. You're rewriting time, not simply surviving it. Sixth, it's evident that you refuse to let resentment control you. People age more from bitterness than from time. You can see it in their eyes, the weight, the dullness, the way their face harbors every resentment, as if it were a natural part of who they are. Bitterness steadily seeps in, tenses the body, hardens the heart, and leaves its mark on the skin. You knew it was eating you alive, but most people don't. And you stand out for it. You were quite justified in letting it in. People attempted to break you, lied to you, abandoned you, and deceived you. And if you become chilly, nobody would have blamed you. However, you didn't. You declined. You choose to keep your soul safe at any costs, not for others, but for yourself, because you secretly realized that the cost of harboring animosity would be greater than the harm they caused you. Being a walking wound was not what you wanted. You didn't want to grow old into someone who seemed to be happy, but was secretly furious. You decide to let it go. It was required, not because it was simple. Your spirit was cleansed by that decision, and a pure soul is reflected in a clean body. You seem light as a result, not simply youthful. That burden is not carried by your eyes, shoulders, or jaw. It seems like you are at ease. You didn't let life to poison you, not because it was fair. You discovered how powerful it is to choose joy, to guard your frequency, and to submit. You battled for it not because it was given to you. Forgiveness is seen as weakness, and people don't expect it to appear like that. They sense something heavenly in you, however. They see a silent power that is unfakeable. They are unaware that your tranquility came at a cost, that your glow is a result of spiritual discipline, and that the most effective anti-aging thing you have ever done was to stop being bitter. Seventh, you have parasites that are starving. You appear so different now because of this. You used to feel drained, like if your life energy was being secretly drained, and you would walk about exhausted for no apparent reason. And the reason for it was that everyone around you was there to take advantage of you, not to show you love. They required your light, your focus, your compassion, and your unwavering availability. They were attempting to live through you, not to develop with you. And for a long time, you let them. Not because you were weak, but because you were loyal and kind. You believed it to be love. In reality, however, it was leaking. Then the pivotal moment arrived. You severed the link. Your body was the first to sense enough before your head. You had a deeper sleep. Your expression relaxed. Your radiance returned. Because those energy parasites were gradually eroding your physical vigor, in addition to playing with your soul. Your nervous system was always attempting to figure out how they were feeling, calm down their pandemonium, or be careful around them. Stress aged individuals quickly, but for the first time in years, your whole system let out a breath when you disengaged, and there was no denying the outcome. You began to resemble yourself once again, not the you who was overgiving, overextending, and always saving people who didn't want to change. You seemed to have cleaner skin. Your eyes become more acute. You were reclaiming, not just surviving anymore. Because you finally had the energy to feed your own soul after you quit feeding the demons of everyone else. You now appear different as a result. People are surprised to see you because of this. You are no longer being utilized. You are once again in control of your energies, and it is evident. The same individuals who used to take advantage of you are now curious about how you become so beautiful, rested, and captivating. The reality? Not only did you switch circles, but you also shut down the buffet. Eighth, your body followed your recovery of your actual self. Living a falsehood distorts your whole existence, not just your thoughts. You also carried identities that were never really yours for a long time. The quiet one, the overachiever, the fixer, the people pleaser, the obedient kid. Roles you believed you had to play in order to live, or roles you were coerced into. However, their positions had a price. Your body sensed a problem. It stiffened. It became dimmer. The weight of pretending was on it. Additionally, something always seemed strange on the inside, as if your mirror wasn't giving the complete picture. Even if you were well put together on the outside, it wasn't you. That's why. Then there was a snap, or maybe a click, within. You became weary of stooping, of grinning despite pain, of being safe, appetizing, and edible. And you began to peel back the layers one by one. You asked questions about the scripts that were given to you. You took back your truth, your culture, your sexuality, your voice and your feelings. And as each fake identity layer came off, something lovely started to show. You. It saw your body too. You shifted your stance. Your gait altered. A power that only comes from someone who understands exactly who they are blazed up your face. Alignment began to show on your skin. There was more weight in your voice. Because you were embodying instead of acting, your presence changed. Furthermore, embodiment radiates rather than merely looks wonderful. You seem to have been reincarnated because of this, because you have been in a lot of ways. Your body let go of the weight, and you let go of the lie. The humiliation that wasn't yours was no longer with you. You no longer twisted yourself to blend in. You seem lighter, more liberated, and fuller today. Not because you became someone else, but because you at last became the person you were always supposed to be. And that glowing thing that everyone is talking about? That's the reality, not skincare. You passed through a fire without smelling like smoke, according to number 9. Despite all you've gone through, people look at you today and marvel how you manage to walk with such elegance, ease, and unwavering confidence. They are aware of the tales, conflicts, and fires you have experienced. However, they see nothing but light when they gaze at you. No wounds, no resentment, and no indication that the flames have ever touched you. They don't think it adds up. They anticipated that you would be toughened, scorched, and marked. You came out, however, with a brilliance that made people reevaluate everything they believed to be true about survival. They failed to see that you transcended, not merely survived.